Meanwhile, the ruling party seems to be concerned with the fact that not everyone in Kazakhstan is aware of the possible harm of corruption. To improve the situation, Nur Otan party members, together with the financial police, held a special action on Friday, May 21st.
The ruling party Nur Otan distributes pins and asks not to perceive them as labels of bribe takers. It is, however, not clear what these pins are really meant to show: the willingness to resist the opposition or unpreparedness to take bribes.
A citizen in the need of help should be able to recognize and honor a civil servant who can actually solve issues.
The pin, though, is not a sign from above, and the illustrations are not instructions. The issue at hand is more complicated and requires a philosophical approach. One of the anti-corruption posters even featured a Star Wars character, as only officials know how hard it is not to join the dark side and win the struggle with corruption and inner self.
Wearing the pin doesn't mean that a person is against corruption. It just shows the internal state.
The composition of organizers is also somewhat ambiguous, as it includes the financial police, who fights the corruption by all means, and Nur Otan party members, who often bear bribery charges. The action is paid for by the party funds, although the costs were not revealed. Nevertheless, expectations are high, which is evidenced by the fact that the selection of posters is held since the fall. The best works will be displayed on the city streets, while the winners will be awarded. The key goal is to convince the population to stop giving bribes, as apparently the officials are no longer able to stop taking them.
The population is also to blame for the corruption. For instance, a person with an issue to solve always considers ways to do it quicker and without standing in lines.
It is difficult to say what other benefits similar gatherings have, apart from improving artistic skills. For now, slogans like "Your no to corruption matters" are met with a collective "What do you mean?" while no one can tell how to change the situation. This, however, is not important according to organizers. They say the participation is key and not the victory, especially since the exhibition was pulled down 40 minutes after the opening, as soon as the press left.
It is an entirely different question whether the action can bring results. We simply have to do something because corruption is almost everywhere and we should fight it somehow. This was one way to do it, and it will be good even if a single person will be enlightened after it.
Apparently, there's no developed culture of lobbying in Kazakhstan. Even proposed by the Justice Ministry new bill on lobbying was recognized by the local MPs as too raw and requiring additional work.
The mass criticism was directed towards the parts of the bill stipulating that lobbying can only be done in the parliament exclusively by no less than 10 non-state organizations. The initiators of the bill could not explain why they have come up with this particular number, while the MP said the present draft of the document looks too biased.
First of all, only one group of the MPs is allowed to be lobbied, which again discriminates them. The term lobbyist has a negative connotation in our country. If lobbying is introduced, it should work on every level for all legal acts.
Nevertheless, the initiative also has advantages, as the very fact of lobbying will be recognized as a part of Kazakh political life if the law is passed. Besides, it will also allow putting lobbying into a legal field.
The main shortcoming of the law is that everything comes down to the legislative branch, and everyone understands that most violations happen in the executive vertical, at the level of ministries and other state bodies.
Initially, the law theorists envisioned two aims: the fight against corruption by way of shadow lobbying and improving the democratic participation of the population in the political life of the state and parliament decision-making. It is, however, unclear how this could be implemented and whether people will be able to actually influence the passing of new bills. It is more likely that the initiative will stay just another fiction, or worse, become another corruption tool, since someone will definitely attempt to influence the lobbyists, no matter how public or social they will be.
The main purpose is not even the fight against corruption, but the expansion of public activities. This law is needed to give a chance to public organizations, NGOs, associations and unions to lobby their interests.
There is still some time left before the final draft of the bill will be passed. However, the question whether the MPs will consider expert suggestions still remains open.
On Friday, the anti-monopoly authorities of Kazakhstan warned the population that by 2013, the differential water rates will be introduced in the country. Find out next what this will mean for regular citizens.
Kazakh government has decided to save limited resources. Therefore, it looks like water in Kazakhstan will be worth its weight in gold. The solution to the current situation seems to benefit monopolists. Until 2013, everyone in the country will end up paying according to differentiated water supply prices, a scheme currently used only for Almaty enterprises. The head of the anti-monopoly agency, Nurlan Aldabergenov, proudly says that changes in tariff policies will increase profits of water utilities.
The water intake is almost a half of the yearly reserve, thus the water issue is crucial, and saving of water is fundamentally important.
NGO representatives do not believe in good intentions of the anti-monopoly agency. This is just another experiment using people. There will be no saving and the authorities will simply get more money from the population. The most famous pensioner in the country, Irina Savastina, believes that utility prices are the key cause of poverty. She was outraged with the introduction of differentiated rates and says the government deprives its people of civilization benefits. Look at our elders. They have to smell of urine sometimes because they cannot afford washing themselves frequently. Not only Aldabergenov, but also Karim Masimov must be executed for doing this to the people. The entire government must be jailed. Savastina warns if the government will not reconsider its decision, the country will face a social explosion. Give this to Aldabergenov, let him drink it.
The Financial Control Agency intends to permanently prohibit banks to unilaterally change loan rates. The reaction of the expert community to the new initiative of the regulator was mixed at best.
It was decided to regulate the loan rates in Kazakhstan with the beginning of the crisis. In 2007, banks were not allowed to change the loan agreement's terms for the next 3 years. Now the Financial Control Agency intends to strengthen regulation on a permanent basis. The head of ATF Bank, Alexander Piker, does not understand the actions of the monetary authorities, and he does not know where he will find money to repay deposits in the case of sharp fluctuations.
It should be understood that banks are not just bodies that lend money at certain rates, but they deal with deposits, and banks will have to return them. So in case of market fluctuations, depositors might ask for more.
While major banks dealt with the debt issues, the rest tried to take up the market. Last year, Caspian Bank implemented aggressive loan policies. Taking advantage of market fluctuations, the financial institution gave out loans at inflated interest rate. This is why it is interested in saving the rates.
This process is observed all over the world. The regulations are tightened due to the learned crisis lessons. The whole idea is to avoid repetition and at the same time to ensure the stable development of the banking system.
Fitch Ratings experts fear that the introduction of the regulator will have a negative impact. According to managing director of the agency, James Watson, the banks might lose the ability and willingness to finance the state economy.
On the one hand, it is clear that the state and authorities want to protect borrowers from sudden and sharp changes in the costs of servicing loans. But on the other hand, it can cause problems for the banks.
The Senate is now considering the amendments to the laws for the preservation of lending rates. Experts advise the MPs to take a more responsible approach to the issue, as the decision of parliamentarians could affect the resurrection of the Kazakh economy.
These were all the latest updates from Kazakhstan. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.